All right. I'm back on. It's a good day and it's Friday. So online eventually. Let me see where my there it is. Come on, baby. Come online. There we go. Come on. Come on, little baby. Oh, okay. There we go. Give that a shot. Well, it worked before I left, so all right, so yeah, okay. I was futzing around with some things earlier, so let me see what we got going on here. There it is. There I am. Okay. Turn the lights on. There we go. All right. Happy Friday. I got myself on now. I'm like right there. Yeah, right there. Anyway, thanks y'all for coming. Appreciate you hanging out with me on a Friday here. Feeling pretty good about the weekend, I guess. It's 2 days where I don't have to do anything. Not thinking is fun. Um, let's see. We're going to class is starting on Tuesday. So if you're interested in joining us, Tanisha has a let's see if I can do this without the Inception stuff. Break sec. I do apologize for not advertising that I was going to be on, but I just came from a 30-minute meeting that lasted an hour and I didn't have a chance to mention it. So there it is. Oh, oh, boy, I suck. Okay. All right. So yeah, there's that. Um, where is okay, good Lord. Talk about Inception. There we go. All right, let's click on the channel. I was going to go to the calendar, but that's kind of annoying. So let's stop doing that. So on Tuesday, 28th at 3:30 p.m., which is right now, in about 96 hours. So we're going to be doing a class on reverse engineering and malware analysis, which I think I posted that up in our Discord, which if you're interested in doing our Discord, community announcements. Yeah, here we go. We're going to be class 0 or class 1 in this case is going to be setting up the lab environment. I believe Tanisha has some handouts for people who want to join us on Tuesday for that. We do have a notification in our announcement for. Let me see if I can open this link without it. Let's see if it'll go directly to the calendar. There we go. I need the schedule. Yes. Mucho schedules. Yes. There we go. Spin, spin, spin. There we go. CyberSec Divas malware analysis course. So, set a reminder, copy the link if you want to. Make sure that you can, grab that. We're not charging for this. This is a free course. Tanisha wants to get things set up and everybody ready to go. So this is very much a 100 to a 150 level course. If you're interested in, just getting into reverse engineering and doing a bit more of that, there's going to be a bit of malware analysis in terms of real malware. So she's going to figure out what we're going to be doing. I am very much a student in this class. I will not be doing anything other than asking stupid questions for folks and making sure that if there is an issue or a question in chat and stream chat, that will be available. At some point, we will open it up, hopefully, for Discord members and maybe people to come in and do audio with us and ask questions. So we'll be going over some of that on Tuesday. Hope you'll be able to come and hang out with us. So Let me see. Oh yeah, I was looking through some news this week. Apparently, Windows doxed themselves with the fact that there's going to be a new version of Windows 10 coming out. If you're, a Windows 10 user and still a Windows 10 user until 2025, the updates for Windows apparently they said like they weren't going to announce them officially, but they accidentally leaked that a new version was on its way. Um, so we will get to the hack the box stuff for SQLMap. I did solve that a little later in the evening. I didn't cheat, but I did. I did look up some of the forum posts. I was not the only person who had issues with that course, by the way. So, let me see. We've got only 3% of open source software bugs are actually attackable. Is that a word? Attackable? Attackable. Interesting. Interesting concept there is what they call attackable. Load the page, load the page, thank you. Okay. So a new study says 97% of open source vulnerabilities linked to software supply chain risks are not attackable, but attackability is attackability the best method for prioritizing bugs? That is a good question. So let's read through some of this. All right, so yeah, shift left. Okay, great. That's they're great. I'm sure. Oh, hell no. All right, all right. All right. So let's just get this out of the way. Bob at bob.com. So this is a shitty sales tactic. So you can get the PDF. As a matter of fact, I'm not saying this is the best way to do this, but yeah, it's a marketing tactic to generate leads. Download the white paper by giving us your email address, your phone number, your firstborn, etc., etc. Then they'll never leave you alone. So, all right. In the shadow of a global pandemic, Okay, yes, we're gonna function devices are going to be working securely. You see key findings. 76% of new vulnerabilities are fixed within 2 sprints. That's good. Depends on how long your sprints are. If your sprints are 2 weeks, great. If they're 2 months, not so great. The longer that issues persist in the wild, the more risk they pose to security and the business. That's why AppSec and security are measured by mean time to remediate, MTTR. Okay. We see that scan frequency is increasing. Daily scans up 68% over 2021. 68% over 20. What were they in 2021? What were the numbers in 2021? Which provides results of what needs to be fixed faster and more often to dev teams. I love these papers that say something without actually saying anything. You know, 60, it's like, now, you're eating a burger that they advertise it has 50% more meat. And it's like, well, what the hell was in the burger beforehand? How do I even know that? It's like extra cheese on the pizza. Really? I mean, unless you put a bunch of cheese on the pizza and then supply me with like a side container of cheese that I can add the cheese to, do I actually know you put extra cheese on it? You just charged me for it. So, security. Okay. So out of this whole doc, she took this part. That's it. She just 97%. So this was the one that was the biggest issue that was written about. So I'm hoping that there was more deep dive into this, but security has often been a bottleneck to software development. Hmm. I don't want to say I take offense to that, but I think security is not a bottleneck to software development. Developers are a bottleneck to software development. Um, hey, Digital Warhead. Happy, hey. Um, yeah, I probably shouldn't say developers are a bottleneck to software development. I would say the practices, processes, procedures, and lack of due diligence on some organizations' parts are a bottleneck to software development, including security, including product management, including development, including leadership, um, creating more work for engineers, and adding more days to software release timelines. But not every vulnerability that security tools put on a list need to be fixed. Maybe. I really, um, hey, Digital. Don't know if you work in a development environment, but I really, the more I read this report, the madder I'm getting. It says security creates more work for engineers and adds more days to software release timelines. This is from a company called Shift Left, which the term is meant to engage developers further to the left to reduce the amount of time needed to, um, you know, push out releases. Get security by shifting left, makes it less expensive to fix. My problem with that comment that they put in here is they make it sound like security is the problem the whole way along. So if we just get rid of security, then we are no longer a bottleneck to software development. I have a problem with that. But that's okay. Consider yourself lucky, Digital Warhead. So the reason that security is a bottleneck to software development is we're doing our due diligence, finding the bugs that they should have not introduced in the first place. And yeah, if the security tooling and everything and all the scans get done after release and we find really, really bad bugs on the right side, yes, it's going to lead to, longer development times and software release timelines. It's really up to development management and the devs to police themselves instead of having security want to do that. We are what fills that vacuum, I think, in that case. So 37%. I'm not going to harp on that any longer because it makes me unhappy. Besides, open source vulnerabilities are not software development vulnerabilities in many cases. The OSS vulnerabilities are introduced because companies are not scanning and checking open source software before they just blindly put it into their systems. So see, every one of these with shift left, customers can see a 97% reduction in the number of open source vulnerabilities. Blah. Yeah, okay, great. I'm not going to read this this form because obviously she's drank the Kool-Aid. So, yeah, you know what? I'm not going to read this at all because this is garbage, I think. So, you can read the PDF if y'all want to. I've saved you the trouble of having to go and sign up your email and all that bullshit. So, oh, I saw this one. Yeah, this one's pretty interesting. Cybersecurity agencies are releasing PowerShell guidance for PowerShell security. I thought that was pretty cool. Yeah, PowerShell is definitely living off the land attack. Malicious actors using an organization's own tool against themselves. You might hear it called lol bins, where I think I just got the cliff notes. It's garbage. So yeah, it really bugs me when people and companies like Shift Left write shit like that. It's like, oh, security is an impediment. Okay, well, if we got rid of it, is our you can get rid of security all damn day. I don't. You know what? get rid of security in your environment. Your developers better step the fuck up and fix their code quality or fix their ability to secure themselves. If you don't want security in the equation and we're a quote unquote bottleneck, fix your shit. You know, um, because I guarantee you, it may lengthen your release time, but when it gets out on a Friday afternoon and it's an unauthenticated RCE, and now people hate your company because you're having to spend the weekend patching shit or not patching shit or waiting for mitigation from your developers, and they're up at 2 a.m. Anybody up at 2 a.m. That's a problem. So move your security stuff further left, or what it is. PowerShell, one of the most commonly tools. Yeah. The Five Eyes, so cybersecurity agencies, UK and New Zealand. Microsoft open sourced PowerShell, which I thought was amazing back in 2016, and it surprised the hell out of a lot of people, I think. Most administrators use it to patch systems and execute scripts. PowerShell is a classic tool in the hacker's arsenal, right? Yeah, I mean, we've had numerous shows about that. We've had, if you go back to before the Twitch switch, we had podcasts with Lee Holmes. We've had discussions with Mick Douglas on PowerShell related items. We've had several discussions inside of our Slack on PowerShell. Some of those things, PowerShell is something that only people who are in the know use it in such a way. Still, I think that you could use it as an indicator of compromise. Like if at 98% of your company is not going to be using PowerShell and you see your CEO's laptop start using PowerShell for some reason, it might be a problem, unless he just saw what PowerShell was in CIO magazine or something like that. So CISA announced a joint cybersecurity information sheet. Oh man, that's what I get for coming directly from a work meeting. So here is the link to that. Control C, Control V. There you go. 1 second. I'm gonna fix my monitor for some reason. Can't see the. If that's going to make it brighter on the screen or not. It's going to work for me, I think. Tried to install WSL on my work computer via PowerShell and was disabled by IT. So digital. I want to say good. We're okay. So I will say good only in that they're doing their somewhat due diligence to try to remove people from using PowerShell. Were you able to install PowerShell or your Windows subsystem for Linux somewhere else or some way else, like through the Windows Store? Did they disable the installation of WSL or did they disable the PowerShell portion? So it was like you went start PWSH or whatever. You got your PowerShells up in here. Oh, that's not the right one. What I don't like is you can download the latest version, like 7.31 or whatever the hell it was at the time. Yeah, there we go. So I downloaded the latest version of PowerShell 7.3.0 Preview 3 or whatever it is. It doesn't make any difference. I hardly ever use it anyway, but it's nice to have. I mean, yeah, I could still do basic PowerShell commands, but WSL was, that's not very nice. Yeah. Yeah, that's really weird. I mean, yeah, you could install even Debian and Ubuntu and everything through the Windows Store. I'm surprised they didn't actually have things turned off like being able to do like VMs and stuff like that. I mean, if you can install a VM, But I get it. You want to be able to use the the Linux command line in your native Windows, which is very powerful, pretty awesome. I enjoy it. I was poking around on my other computer over there, the Optiplex that I have. What I was trying to do was, because the class is coming up, right? And the last thing I want to do is have the streaming platform also be the same machine that I'm running VMs on, analyzing malware. Because if I get pwned, or if I screw it up and I infect myself, I'm going to lose a lot of shit. So I was trying to get the server set up over there, and trying to use VNC to be able to share the desktop. The best I can hope for right now is I'm going to have to use a capture card or something, because I could not get everything working properly. So I don't know why, but yeah, everything I was trying to do with VNC did not work, or it throws up some kind of really evil looking error every time I do it. So let's see here. So yeah, SSH. Oh, okay. I know why that didn't work. Yeah, because I'm not in the SSH directory where my keys are. So yeah. But anyway, yeah, I had my VNC set up, and the problem was it pops up with some kind of weird error message. And so, yeah, just working through that. So let me see. Review PowerShell. Let's see. PowerShell scripting language, similar to Bash, of course. PowerShell extends user experience. Yeah. Enabling forensics, improving incident response, allowing automation of common or repetitive tasks. Defensive landscape 7.2 is the latest. 5.1 is included with Windows 10, right? Windows 10 with proper configuration can fully integrate and access all components. It's backward compatible, because they say 7.2 can access everything from 5.1, so that's pretty nice. Malicious PowerShell used prior to 5 motivated public efforts to detect those targeted PowerShell actions. Recent PowerShell versions include enhanced security measures such as detection, prevention, and authentication capabilities. You still can't fully uninstall PowerShell, which is probably what your IT folks were worried about when they were working on some of these items. It's like, even if you delete the exe off of the systems, you can still call it, and there's still libraries that will allow you to do things with PowerShell. It's crazy, like, tied in. Windows remote management has been around for years, decades even. Network protections, anti-malware scan interface integrations, constrained PowerShell with application control. That's always a good one. I've heard AppLocker. AppLocker is nice. The problem is, I've seen a lot of people, especially on our I think on our Slack recently, somebody said, I tried AppLocker, it sucks. What do y'all suggest for a different white allow listing or what have you? Oh, right. I forgot about our joining people. So welcome Beef Jokey OGH, Sailor Amy DC, Pugs 784, Uncle Chris, Archon Priest, JM McCrary 89, Kella PC, Rit MD3Y, whoa, Flittermilent, okay. Machine Gun 21K, Spank Minister, oh, that was a little weird. Autonombi, Moments by Chakri, Yachty Boo. Wow, we got a ton of new followers. Holy cow. That is, how many people did we get? Okay, yeah, that's a lot. Haxering Power. Okay, so MSAAA 12, Big Easy, Hash 0001, Red Tape, Malware, Pet, malware petter. Oh, malware Peter, my bad. Sahiji, Samson 207, Sashri, Atgear Monogram, Yachty Boot. Wow, we got a ton of them. So thank you all for following. Appreciate that. Oh, and Spank Minister subscribed. So thank you so much, Spank Minister. I have to say Spank Minister on my stream now. So yeah. I have to say Spank Minister. Wow. Okay. Yeah, so we have alerts up. If they do pop off while we're here, I'll be able to hear them. So thank you all for following and subscribing. But yeah, so I mean, there's definitely ways to log things, PowerShell activity. There's a lot of logs there for that. Deep script logging, module logging, transcription. Ooh, well, that's an interesting one. What does transcription mean? The ability to record all activities executed within PowerShell 5 can be applied in Windows 7 or later. OTS records every input and output, whether functional or not, to enable defenders to decipher intended actions. Does that sound like a keylogger or a modified history file? That is interesting. Just FYI, no sound on notifications. Oh. Sorry, I didn't have my my screen up, so I do apologize for that. But you did see the thing on the screen. I'll have to see. Let me see. Spitfire alarms. I'm still dialing things in as I learn these things. So control audio via OBS. Okay, so we'll see what happens there. Spitfire alarms. Okay. Okay, cool. Yeah, I'll have to keep an eye out on those things. Thank you for the heads up there, Digital. Appreciate that. Spitfire alarms. Make sure that goes out. Oh, thank you, Digital. Okay. Okay, so I did see the little loopy thing go up. Hopefully that worked for you there. I did see the bling 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 bling. Those are the Apex Legends, I think, notifications or alarms. So, ouch. Okay, good. Yeah. So what happened was I had to go into advanced audio. No, not advanced audio properties. So, for those of you, if you want to hear what's going on behind the curtain, so in Stream Elements, you have, okay, we'll have to fix that later. You have URLs that you can use to bring up browser extensions. And one of the things was I didn't have OBS controlling the audio. So the audio wasn't coming into OBS, but it would have come in through my earbuds, which is where I would have heard it. So, all right, let me go ahead and get started on that. All right. So, yeah, so continue to, okay. PowerShell procedures, remoting over SSH. So there's a ton of things on controls and things you can do to protect yourself. AMZ, clam with the app locker. So these are all various things you can do to help secure your Windows PowerShell bits. So I think, okay, I've already put that in the sheet, but here's the PDF just in case. And yeah, thank you, Digital. I appreciate the 10 shamrocks. So that's pretty cool. Thank you so much for that. So yeah, PowerShell is essential to Windows operating system. Newer versions have resolved previous limitations. There was also a thing where it was like you could run anything you wanted as an elevated user by just putting in like no use privs or something like that. There was some kind of switch for some unknown reason. They left that switch in, and you could run pretty much whatever you wanted as root on that. And there was a lot of just fuckery going on with the earlier versions of PowerShell. It was like, what are you people thinking? So yeah. All right, close that. That's the thing about the new version of Windows 10. They say you can make some registry changes I don't recommend doing it because, as they stated at the bottom when they buried the lead, they say not many features are expected for this. It's just, cosmetic, and it does not actually introduce any new features. So you can run this enablement, but nothing happens. All you get is a bump in your version number for all intents and purposes. Just something to think about there, because it's a mature product and they're trying to deprecate it. So they're not wanting to give you any more value to Windows 10 because they want you to upgrade it to Windows 11 if you can't. Failing that, then you want to run to Linux, Ubuntu, or Mint, or what have you. I would go to Linux. My only problem is the camera that I'm using right now. You can't use it unless you use a capture card. I tried doing it today, and yeah, it was a hot mess. I had my server over there. I was just playing with it. I put Ubuntu on it, no problems. And I was like, well, I want to see if I can actually convert over to Linux so I don't have to use Windows 11 anymore, because I'm tired of my laptop sounding like a freight train every time I do anything with it with OBS. And yeah, didn't work. So, oh, sorry, these are not ads. I'm an RPG nut, so I do apologize for that. Let me see. Yeah, so link to that, PowerShell security. Go check that out. Do I have that downloaded? No, I do not. Let me go ahead and download that. Okay. All right. So let me see. NSO. There was a story about NSO. L3 Harris, I think, is trying to buy the NSO group. And for those of you who don't know who NSO is, they're an awful company. They're based out of Israel, and they create software for spying on people with phones. And the problem is it's good when used correctly. Kind of like what's that one piece of software that pen testers were using and it was really cool, but then all of a sudden the source code leaked. Not Carbon. Why do I keep thinking Carbon Black? And it's not Carbon Black. It's Cobalt Strike. Cobalt Strike, great tool. Pen testers used it. Oh yeah, beacon. Yay. Here. Source code leaked. Now it's the tool du jour of malware creators everywhere, right? NSO probably had a decent idea on how they wanted to use this tool, and then they got greedy and just started giving it out to everybody, including people doing nefarious shit with it. And they got spanked, and they're looking for a buyer, and Unit 8200. Is that NSO group? What are they called? Like Sleepy Weasels, or I mean, what's do you have another actor name? What is that? Unit 8200. Oh, there you go. Oh, they got their own YouTube page. Isn't that lovely? Okay. Yeah, okay. According to Director of Military Sciences, 8200 is probably the foremost technical intelligence agency in the world and stands on par with the NSA in everything except scale. So that's not like Mossad or whatever it is. It's they're that version of the NSA. Okay. I wonder who gave them that number. That's interesting. Oh wait, it's not 8200. It's Unit 8200. Okay. All right. Well, I guess you can't call them 8200 because it's 8200. All right. Yeah. So more than 5 EU states use Pegasus spyware. Yeah. Everybody wants to use it as long as it's not being used on themselves or, from their enemies to themselves. So everybody wants it, but not when it's being used on them. Codes installed by booby trap message to the victim when they received and automatically processed by their device, causing the spyware to silently deploy and run. Tools licensed socially to law enforcement and government agencies. Adding these are limited in number. Contracts are carefully contracted to permit legitimate use. Yeah, I thought I'd saw that L3 Harris, which is a defense contractor here in the States, U.S., was looking to buy NSO Group. Yeah, there it is. Yeah. From a privacy point of view, it's scary as shit, to be fair. This is, NSO Group is just one of those organizations for me that should just go away, not be around anymore. That's just my opinion and not the opinion of everybody, I assume. But yeah, it's rough. Multiple sources confirmed discussions were centered on sale of the core technology or code, as well as a possible transfer of NSO personnel to L3Harris. So lock, stock, and barrel, pretty much. Any agreement faces significant hurdles, including requiring not the blessing, the approval of U.S. and Israeli governments, which would have not greenlit the deal. I'm sure there's a lot of backroom discussion on that. We can only hope, as this has been used on journalists and human rights activists, and by countries where, as long as the check clears, it seems like that they're okay with selling it to. Yeah, so it's a little rough. So the other thing is, it's going to make it particularly difficult. Is I believe they're black. Yeah, they're on a restricted. I'm not going to use that term. Company list. So they're not allowed to do business in the U.S. or with other companies. So I'm sure we'll figure that out, and they'll either get sold or not sold. And I mean, ideally, you'd want to know who they got sold to, but it's one of those things. Yes. See, they ban-hammered the notorious software last year, and then they found it. I think it was running on some politicians in Spain in the Catalan region. So, watch charged up. Okay. All right. So, let me see. I was working on. So last time I was here, let me pull up. I have some pictures because, as I said, I double check view details. Okay, 623. There we go. No, that's not it. All right. God, I take a lot of screenshots. All right, let's server insights. Okay. I do take a lot of screenshots. Okay, so. All right, so I was working on the items for, let me see how far back can I go here. Yeah, yep, 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 yep. Some of these were red herring. Okay. So for those of you who were watching with me earlier this week, the SQLMap skills assessment was fairly difficult. Then I got called away to dinner with my wife, so I was only spent about 45 minutes on this. I came back, started poking around. Ideally, when I was working through this example, and the example was to get the flag in the table final_flag, and that's in the SQLMap assessment section. I was assuming that it was either a contact form, like what Haxor Pirate had said, that the one on Try Hack Me was in the contact form, which I had already started playing with. I was also looking in the shopping cart, because there were several areas there where it was like, okay, you've got a text file, you've got fields that can be modified, you've got an account creation workflow. So I was thinking, well, there must be some kind of, a script there to run. I mapped out several areas on this, and kept running up against the same issue. Like with this, there's no workflow. You click send message and nothing happened. You added something to the cart, created an account. I used like 3 or 4 different payment methods and nothing happened. So yeah, so I went to like contact.html and was poking around that, because the question mark was on there, and there were what I would consider a few red herrings in this example. So I was poking around there, using Burp Suite to map out the application. Contact.html had a question mark. So I was like, oh, there must be parameters there because this said, oh, parameters are available. I was like, okay, so I'm going to bang on this for a while with SQLMap. Did not work as I had expected it to. As you can see, I've got some, SQLMap, batch dump. It was running. It was like, okay, checking to see if it's protected by WAF or IPS, unavailable. I did run forms and crawl several times with different output and different parameters. Nothing happened there. I was trying to, I actually added ID after the contact. So ID equals 1. I actually put ID equals asterisk. Nothing happened. Trying to make it work. Let me see what's next here. Okay, so I was looking through, I believe it was Reddit. I believe Reddit. Let me see. SQLMap. Hack the box. There were no spoilers on any of these sites, which I thought was really great. Yeah, SQLMap module. I think this was the link that I was using. No, that's not it. Which one was it? It was... Yeah. Yeah, I was reading through this and they were asking for a tip and they said, I don't want to give away too much, but you're on the wrong track with the GET requests. There's a post happening somewhere that's exploitable. And was poking around looking for, items that would give me that information, and found I found this because I was like, oh, here's a script, and I didn't remember it being in the script. Now, when you go and look at this, this is on the page where, and I think that's, so you see this, and this is a script, and, add to cart, click function event, let, and this is some, JavaScript or whatever. There, various things here. And then this is just there. So, talking about, here's a post URL true. And then the ID, when I saw the ID 1, I was like, okay, I'm in it. So this is a JSON string with a key pair value. So I was looking around in here. I think I was still poking around a little bit because I didn't quite understand what all was going on with that and what I could do with that. So I went into action.php and I actually was just trying, I put post and I actually typed action.php because I was trying to get it to do something and couldn't get it to work. It kept coming up with a 500 error, so as you can see right here. And I was, that's when I, right clicked, I edited the request. So I made a new request. I changed the method from get to post because I was like, oh, well, back here, back over here, it was like, oh, it's a post request and this is making a get. So I'll just go and change those, right? So I went back in, I was doing this and I hit send and I wouldn't get anything. Nothing would come back. And I was like, what the hell's going on? As you can see, I, clicking on double clicking in that little text box back here, if you double click in this little text box, it'll actually prettify it for you so you can actually read it a little better. So you can understand what it's trying to say. And this is the JavaScript in here for that. XHR on ready state change, whatever. Ready state change is, I want to say 3 equals is like, I actually don't know what that means. So I don't know enough about JavaScript to decode this, but there's an if statement and it's saying if the ready state is 4, so whatever that means, the status is 200. So if I'm assuming the HTTP code comes back with a 200, then say item is added. So, and then it says stringify ID equals 1 or ID 1, and then you're going to send additional data. So sending, you're going to send the stringify for the JSON. Oh, Amazon's here. Yay. Those are all mine. Oh, wow. Okay. Oh, I know what those are. All right. I got some stuff in Amazon. So yeah, as you can see here, here's the page with the various items on the website. Like, when you go to buy something, what you can't see underneath this box is it says shopping cart now or add to shopping cart, and then like checkout now, I think is what the other box was. But when you click on the button underneath on this side, it says item added. And what you don't see here at the bottom very well is a 200 post request action.php. And when I saw that, I was like, oh, because that didn't happen before. When I was trying to call it directly, it came up as a 500 error. So then a 200 post error post came up. So 200 post. So the action of clicking this lit this off properly. So it was under shop.html, XHR, and it's a key pair. So at that point, then I took this request, this action.php, the post request from that. I grabbed it. Let me see. You actually didn't need burp or anything for this. A lot of the sites that I was looking at was like, oh, you got to have burp and do all this stuff and whatever. This used to just be a plugin that you could get with Firefox or with Chrome, and it was like an add-on kind of thing. And then they realized, oh, hey, this is probably a pretty good idea. Let's include it in our code. So yeah, what I did here was I grabbed the post request, I edited and resent, or I edited it and copied it into, I'm sorry, I went to the terminal, copied it in, and of course this is where you see data equals raw and then ID equals 1. So we did some of this earlier in earlier examples where it was like you need the data, and this is the key pair. This is what you're going to use. Again, I could have ripped out all of the -h's except for application JSON, because you need to have SQLMap know what kind of data it is. So it's it's a JSON blob. So the content type needs to be in there. That's the only -h that I believe needs to be in this list. Everything else is garbage, but for sake of sanity, I left it in. So what you see here, HTTPS, and then the header in the system, see, and what you see up here on the top, when I copied this in, you see the JSON blob ID equals 1 right there. All right, so it ran a long time. It ran a really long time. And I added batch, I added dump, I added several other switches. But so, as you can see, the timelines on this. So this is 4:30. This is UTC time. So right now it is, I think it's like 3 in the morning. Yeah, it was like 9 o'clock at night when I figured this out. So as you can see there, these it says retrieved 5 brands, products, categories, order items. It was enumerating these. So we'd go C, A, T, E, and we'd just continue iterating those out like that the whole way. And I was like, oh, there's got to be a way to speed this up, right? This was going to dump the entire database if I had to let it go. And as you can see, it did take a little bit of time just fetching the production database. It took 2 minutes just to get the headers, right? The column headers. So let me see what else. So what I ended up doing, and I wished I had kept the full length of the flag. There was also there was also a switch. The problem was right after I took this screenshot, the VM died and I lost everything at this point. So it did take a long time. As you can see here, it took almost 2 whole minutes to retrieve the database production flag, and it was going really slowly here. It was like dink, 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 H, T, B, and it had to cycle through all of this really, really, really slowly. Let me see. Oh, yeah, here you go. So I went back up and I took a screenshot of what all I needed to do. So SQLMap, here's the action.php. Again, all of the other H's except for application JSON, the content type. So I did fresh queries because I had run this continually, and I was like, oh, damn, I may have corrupted, something. I wanted to make sure I was getting fresh entries. So I did fresh queries. I did a dump. So dump all the database. batch. And then, one of the times that I was running this, something came up and it was like tamper equals between. So I was poking around. I hadn't had a chance to take a look at that. So I wanted to go and look at the SQLMap tamper scripts. There you go. So tamper between, let's see. Yep. So between is there. And the script was smart enough when it finished and something didn't work out all the way. It was like, hey, maybe you should try between. And I was like, okay. So between.py. So this was the function. It was saying, hey, 1 and A is greater than B. This was the logic that it wanted you to try in that case. Yeah. Greater than equals not greater than between 0 and. So that's the function. So you're going to put that little shim in during the query to get where you needed to be. As you can see, what it came up with was, loading tamper between JSON body found in there. And then it ran, so what you see here is it ran ID1 and select this number from, and then sleep for 5 seconds. It took a long time to run that script to get that final flag. But yeah, so once you added the tamper between, I had actually ran it a couple more times and then was like, oh, final flag. Okay, so I need to make sure I'm picking the right database because I need to pick the right table. So final underscore flag was a thing. Otherwise, I would have enumerated the entire database, all of the databases on the network. The schema didn't matter. I ended up running it without that, and it still gave me the right answer. But yeah, so this was the flag, not so hard, right? Again, just goes to show you the power of the web developer toolkit and what have you. You didn't need to do anything other than that. This was, like it said, not so hard, right? But it was it was interesting. I mean, I still sprayed and prayed quite a bit with SQLMap. I would argue, I mean, I didn't do much more than dumping the query into a SQLMap, adding fresh queries, dump and batch. I mean, it was smart enough to tell me which tamper script I should potentially use. I don't know how I did that, but I tried all. So the screenshots I have are only a fraction of the work that I did. I mean, I was working on this for a good 2-3 hours trying to make this work. I was changing the risks and the levels, and I was looking at the cheat sheet to see what was going on with that. And yeah, it was difficult. I mean, and like I said, the examples they gave, some people were cool. They didn't put, there was a couple of other things. Yeah, so the what got me through here was like I was injecting the JSON variable in post. So that's when I realized that there must have been something else there that I had missed. So was poking around on that. So yeah, blog single.t. A lot of people were looking at the blog. They were looking at the contact form, like Hacker Pirate said. Like myself, there were several red herrings on that site trying to figure out how to hit it up. So yeah, that was what ended up being the right answer, a right answer. I would say there's probably more than one way to defeat that exercise. But yeah, it did take a long time to get that answer. Let me see. Yeah, see, it took 2 minutes to get to the info part. Real-time comparison requires reset. So it took 2 whole minutes to get, and it was enumerating each character at a time. So the minute I saw HTB, I was like, okay, I've got what I need there. And that came out. So, oh yeah, so production, it hit product, yeah. And then yeah, it went IDCONTENT. That was a little faster. But yeah, the fresh queries helped out quite a bit. I think a lot of people who use SQLMap and kind of, I don't want to say spray and pray, but they do a lot of this stuff. Sometimes they forget to use the fresh queries thing to not use whatever was cached there. So And I guess technically, I could have gone back through. This was on a VM. I actually had the VM set up. I was using OpenVPN um, uh, to get into things. I wonder if I still have that. I may still have that. Anyway, but so that was the answer. I successfully navigated the SQLMap stuff, such as it is. It was kind of disheartening though, because that was an easy one, right? So made me kind of wonder, should I continue on with some of that? And I thought maybe it would be time to take a little break, um, poke around on something else. Actually, I hesitate to start something new because with the class starting with malware analysis and what have you, I don't want to, some people coming in doing malware analysis and whatever, and then I'm, back doing hack the box on Thursday or Friday. So I'm trying to figure out what we maybe should do. I'm open to suggestions from the assemblage here. If people are interested in going through a different section, ideally, if you suggest something, I would hope you continue to show up and help and troubleshoot and laugh when I don't pass something. Let's go see not hack the box academy. I mean, we don't even have to do hack the box. I mean, I had mentioned to a couple of other folks that the over the wire stuff is available. Actually, those are still kind of difficult. Yeah, these war games. I mean, I didn't know. So Bandit was what I keep telling people about, and they've added when I last played it, they were like 24 or 25. So they've added 10 whole new levels that I've never even done before. That's a good one if you've got somebody who's not well versed with Linux to be able to do that. Natas, which is Satan backwards, is a website. So there's some web app stuff in there. Oh, wow. Okay, they've added about wow, they've added about 15 new levels on this. I think the last one I saw in Natas was 24, 25. So about 12 or 15 new levels. I hadn't gotten past. I think Leviathan was the first time I tried to play with some reverse engineering stuff. There's a few things in the Bandit side talking about strings and XXD and converting hex to decimal and back and forth. There's some of that in there. The one thing I do like about the Bandit stuff is it's all in the command line. So there's tools that I had not even used before, knew about, like XXD. I'd done strings a few times, and that's how you get some of the flags for Bandit. But yeah, there's a number of them here. Oh, did they get rid of Sunshine? Sunshine was broke though, I think, or no, what was it? So yeah, there's actually a few new ones I haven't. So man page. It's a war game rescued from the demise of intruded.net. Okay. So yeah, and these are all free. I mean, I think for the most part, you just need shell access. So if you have a couple of minutes, I highly recommend playing with Over the Wire. There's a PowerShell version of that, Digital Warhead. If you're interested in that one, there's a Under the Wire. You want to get your PowerShell on, underthewire.tech. My bad. Yes, the upside of these is there's plenty of walkthroughs. So if you do get lost or what have you, you can go play with those. Underthewire.tech. There you go. They do have stuff all the way down from beginning to like advanced stuff. Sentry, Cyborg, Xandar is offline. Yeah, Sentry I think is the beginner one for everybody. So it's pretty interesting. It's funny, you need SSH to be able to get into a host, then run PowerShell commands on it. So it's a bit janky. I mean, but it will set you up for success if you wanted to do Over the Wire and add it to your resume, for instance. Say, hey, I've solved, I've gone through all the way to Groot for that. Like if you're trying to figure out how to make yourself more marketable. I have seen numerous people on Twitter say, hey, I'd rather see your ranking from hacker hack the box or whatever than I would that you have a SysP, which kind of saddens me, but it shows that you're taking the time and effort to do these things. So yeah, we got Hack the Box Academy. Log in. So yeah, so I've got stuff. I actually was just futzing around trying to, do some Linux fundamentals. It's not bad. It's good if you want to teach people where certain functions and things are. Some of the answers were not exactly how I would have expected them to be, like looking at environment variables for your mail spool is. I was actually looking at like Etsy password. It's not the same. So there was some issues there. I think after I solved the SQLMap, I was just like, oh, I'll do something simple and just run through Linux fundamentals. It's okay. I mean, I got pretty far on that, but talking about search and directories. So, some of these are actually good because I do pretty much find like everyone else does find, like find /-name, just looking for the file there. Some of these exercises might be a little difficult. So they want you to look for a config file that's been created after March the 3rd, 2020, smaller than 28K, but larger than 25K. So you're looking for like a specific file. Created after a certain point. That makes for an interesting challenge there. So you can poke around. Oh, see, so they have XXD. They're talking about XXD. So yeah, there's some other stuff here. So let's go look at modules. All modules. Really, they have a documentation and reporting module. I don't know how you do that, but let's go see. Note taking and organization. Oh gods, I might actually want to take this one. I find it hard to. Oh, my wife's cooking onions, garlic. What did she say she was making tonight? Oh yeah, she's making chicken pizza. All right. So yeah, I mean, note taking and organization. Wow, that might actually be worth it. I mean, I hate writing like the next person. But if you're going to be a pen tester working in a consulting firm, you're going to have to write some stuff because some companies have paid a lot of money for those reports, right? So, yeah, I don't want to do that. I don't want to get started on that stuff. Let's go check and see what other news we've got. Feels like one of those Fridays. Google warns spyware. Microsoft compares Russia hacks of Ukraine to assassination at start of World War One. Maybe you shouldn't. Maybe sounds very clickbaity. Extortion. Ooh, bug fix for a previous bug fix. That's a rough one. Okay. Anybody have any good news this week? Did you, one of our Discordians, Sandra, in our Friday thread said sent her last paper in for her MBA, so she's got her MBA. Congratulations, Sandra. That's no mean feat, and as much as I hate to admit that I might be less than correct, I had a friend of mine about 15 years ago tell me I should have gotten an MBA instead of my IT degree. I kind of regret that now, right? So, what's this? Playing Docker. Oh, is this a war game with containers? Reading a good threat reports like reading a novel. Okay. Cyber threats and where to find them. Let's pour on a little cyber threat search engine. Story one. Once upon a time, container security researcher launched a honeypot based on communication through Docker Remote API. Okay. It was attacked within the first 3 hours. Not only did malware spread and evolve inside the network with unprecedented speed, but also the frequency of attacks got to 10 to 20 a day. Malicious image deployment was spotted at the time when the interaction with the Docker API was active. The root system in most cases was Linux-based. Looks like Linux is one love, especially for crypto miners, privilege escalators, and DOS aficionados. Get your API together. Docker and 2/3 of container code usually works with third-party APIs are attacked fiercely despite available patches and preventative controls. Take care of your cloud configurations to avoid exposing Docker API to the internet. Right. Yep. It's all about making sure your whatever you have exposed to the internet is secure, and you should have some kind of controls in place in front of that. So let's add this to the chat over here. Doink. There we go. A breakout, great escape, and how it happens. CrowdStrike discovered that vulnerability. Yeah, some of my friends over at CrowdStrike. Yeah, that's pretty cool. Oh my goodness, what's going on here with the dogs? Okay, that's a couple of dachshunds making jailbreak. It's all about the good old attacker goals, lateral movement, execution, data exfil. I just saw the jackhammer. Okay. Oh no. That is, turns out there's a small weak spot in CRIO version 1.19 that allowed adversaries to exploit the rights of deploy a pod on the runtime's cluster in a Kubernetes and mess with arbitrary kernel parameters. Okay. As a result of using a pins utility. Oh, let's go see what that is. Pins utility. Google search. Simple utility to pin Linux namespaces. Hey, Kimisek, what's up? How you doing? Thank you for hanging out with me today. Just reading some news. We went over the SQLMap stuff that I was working on earlier this week. I passed it, so you can go and check the VOD if you had any questions or you were working through that yourself. Pretty good. It's it's Friday, so we're watching two dachshunds escape from fake jail. They're digging out of their holes. I actually think it's kind of cute. Dachshunds, little weasel dogs. Oh, it's like, oh, okay, cat, dog butt. So this is just we were reading some stories about, not securing your Kubernetes or Docker container clusters or whatever. So let me go see what else is going on here. Without Conti on the scene, Lockbit leads ransomware attacks. This is not a contest, people. Analysts say 18% drop in ransomware attacks. Okay. CodeSys patches 11 flaws likely affecting controllers from ICS vendors. Please don't be Siemens. Please don't be Siemens. Please don't be Siemens. Oh no. Industrial automation software provided by the German company. What is it, the German company? NS Focus researchers have identified CodeSys v2 products in the past year. Okay. Describing some of these vulnerabilities published on GitHub. Commonly existing PLCs or programmable logic circuits. Chain threats, multiple critical vulnerabilities in the runtime. Well, you can go read that write-up if you want. Did you have a good week, Kimisek? Everything good with you? Programming logic controllers. See, Digital Warhead. Thank you so much. As somebody who's not in that space, I would have had to have gone and Googled it, but what is that? The rule applies. It's like if you want a quicker answer, you mention something intentionally wrong or something like that. So yeah, firmware extraction and analysis. Okay, so they dumped the firmware. Excuse me. They were able to Nmap to scan the PM564. Okay, so they found a couple open ports. Oh, good. You were able to download the firmware. See, that might be fun if you can go and download the firmwares and just open it up and see what's going on there. That might be fun. They downloaded the firmware. There's only one file. Contents are shown below. We find the file specifically processed. Encryption, compression, character replacement, etc. Due to the special processed firmware cannot be directly analyzed, so they decided to desolder the flash chip. That's right. That's right. If you're in device space or IoT space, desoldering a chip is not difficult, or is not a. It's not a so. Getting rid of physical interfaces. You know, somebody's like, oh well, we'll just remove the JTAG interface. It's fine. No, it's still on the board unless you physically remove that from the board and make it so that they can't solder to it or poke them little pins down through it. They're just going to do that. It doesn't take much to do. You can buy those. What is it? JTAG pin out kits. No, not kits. It's not a pin out. JTAG pin kits. Yeah, here's a USB JTAG programmer. So, yeah, but you can just, they have these. What they've done is they put the pins that normally sit on the motherboard inside the connector. Whoa, digital warhead. Some PLC programming has pretty high security in place because the ladder logic very rarely ever changes and is used to control major manufacturing processes. Some controllers are 100% offline or require on-site connection with a special key physically, usually physical. Okay. That makes sense. And everything is all well and good until the plant manager at the nuclear site says, hey, I want to be able to check neutron, discharge metrics from my phone while I'm watching the Patriots game. And then it's like, well, okay, we're going to put this 20-year-old piece of shit on the internet, right? So you can't always guarantee that something's going to be always offline or, but no, I get your point there, Digital Warhead. I do appreciate the explanation there. I've just heard too many horror stories about, ICS systems that had to be on the internet exposed because I don't know why. I don't know why. Because people are ignorant about what or who will be attacking them. I don't know. So yeah, there's a pretty good write-up along with some nice pictures. Nice pictures. Let's see if it'll zoom in. There you go. Oh yeah, you can read the numbers on that chip. Yeah. Very nice. And that's the flash right there. That one might have been particularly difficult because I don't know how, I guess if you flip the board over, you'd have been able to desolder the underside of that board, but let's zoom. Okay, back it up. Oh, I made a new tab. So that's pretty cool. And then they used, looks like Wireshark protocol analyzer. You can make filters for that if you notice things going through. Yep, they're running those things down. Stir copy, yay! We got stir copy. Way to go, people writing code. Let's use stir copy. Ooh, 2022-31805, unprotected transport of credentials. Passwords between communications clients and servers among the affected products are transmitted unprotected. So everything's done in plain text, right? So the password, you can set the password to whatever you'd like. You can sniff the password across the environment. So there's the clear text password and the command login. So you can get the hex codes for that and convert them. Insecure default initialization of resource. Password protection is not enabled by default. There's no information or prompt to enable password protection at login. Yeah, that's, again, like Digital Warhead said, if this shit was written, done 20 years ago, the attack profile was completely different. Why would anybody be stupid enough to attack a nuclear power site or, whatever these things are normally ran in? So, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So, and it makes it almost impossible to patch. Digital Warhead seems like they know a little bit about this stuff. So, very, very interesting. Yeah, so there's a whole video on YouTube for those things. You can go watch the YouTube video if you're feeling if you want a head shaking event, because I'm sure they'll tell you, oh, this is in, this is being used in water plants, so this is being used in, you know, other places that could run the day. So let's see here. Oh, I do apologize for all of you who may have bought crypto at higher levels, like me. I bought, I think, $1,000 worth of Ethereum back when it was like $4,000 or something like that. Yeah, I'm never getting that money back, but that's okay. I'm okay with losing that money. I didn't mortgage my freaking house and get Bitcoin at $70,000 a bit. So, um, yeah, there's gonna be a lot of people ruined by the drop of Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies. Especially since I saw that once it hit like 20,000, there were like major buyers who were selling their stake or whatever to kind of recoup any losses or what have you. I just wonder if there was shorting of Bitcoin, like people saw that it was going to be heading down, so they, set the price value at like 40K or something. I mean, wow, that's see, I feel like I'm the guy who's clicking on all the clickbaity articles so that, you don't have to. Global businesses could be exposing themselves to billions in annual losses if they aren't properly securing their APIs. Bitcoin I've been collecting, I plan to just sit on and hopefully it'll be something cool I can pass down to my kids in the far future. Yeah, okay. I see that. Hopefully you actually got it some. Did you like write down your Bitcoin or like print them out, or is that something you still people can do? I've seen some hipsters doing that. It was like putting in a cold wallet or what have you. I still have. I think my Ethereum. I think I bought them in PayPal, so I'm sure they're worth about $2 right now. Um, security firm teamed up with Marsh McLennan Cyber Risk Analytics Center. Oh, that sounds terribly important. Yeah, let's go read this trash report, y'all. Am I going to have to register? I bet I am. Oh, I'm an organic referral. Did you see that up there? Yeah, download the report now. Bob work. Whoops. Work. Oh, wait. Sorry, Bob Bobbington. Work email. Bob Bington B at what they want is they want something other than a Gmail account. So nunya.biz, job title CEO, company Vandalay Industries. Please choose. All right, what am I choosing? Oh, United States. Province. Kentucky. Sure, why not? See, if they were smart, they'd be like, oh, we're going to email you the report. But they don't do that. Yeah, see? All right. And so just, save everybody a, little something here. There you go. There's where the actual link was. See, you don't actually need to register these things. They're just stuck behind some fake ass, paywall or what have you. Executive summary. Yeah. This is the FUD. In order to quantify the risk, Imperva partnered with Marsh, blah, 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 blah. The research suggests the lack of secure APIs had the following impact: 12 to 23 billion API-related cyber loss. Okay. Yeah, let's go read what they're trying to say. In the last decade, API tools have become ubiquitous services in the corporate world. 1,180 estimated 1,181 report cloud apps. So that's estimated. So there's around 1,181. Trend has only accelerated. Decision makers lining up heavy investments into the digital transformation programs. 70% plan to invest in new technology. 67% plan to secure their digital transformation efforts. Specific digital transformation initiatives also line up with security priorities. Okay. Expanding API adoption comes with risk, leading to rising costs. Example, Google's Apigee API recorded a 172% increase in malicious traffic. I don't know what it does. So that would be something you'd have to go and look at. Rise of API attacks. Yes, API attacks are being attacked. So as a suggested event, adjusted number of events. Okay. Rise in API cases due to increased vigilance following Cambridge Analytics and GDPR. Okay. Well, it was already on its way up in 2017. I'm not sure why in 2018 was why it continued to go up, but all right. We'll call it that. Delay in event discovery and data reporting in 2021. Analysis period ends in October 2021. Okay. So it took them 8 months, roughly 8 months to get this report out. So different industries, information industry, pro services, retail trade, finance and insurance. Okay, so yeah. Information, I don't know what information means, but yeah, there's probably going to be a lot of APIs there. Professional services, I could probably see that if they're talking like MSSPs or something like that. Retail trade, yes, e-commerce is going to have a lot of APIs. So, yeah. Am I jaded? I mean, I feel jaded. Like every one of these reports are trash. So, oh, good. I got a new message. Great. Thank you. Yeah, great. Here. All right. So let's see what they try to say here. Phil, tell me what the report actually means. 92% of global respondents believe they have enough API protection in place. 70% believe they have visibility into applications processing sensitive data. 62% of admitted that a third or more of their APIs are undocumented. I could see that. Are they open or are they internal? And yeah, that's just a failure of, again, we're going back to developers and process and procedures. Documentation should be part of any sprint. And the fact that these, 62% admitted a third or more of their APIs are undocumented, depending on who they talk to, it could be very much higher than that. My guess is, I would say it's probably greater than 70%, 75%. Because some of the people they interviewed may not even know what's going on in their own environment. So they just assume everything. I'm going to assume everything is fine. I'm going to walk away. What? For some companies, unequivocally a false sense of security that they're adequately protected from cyber attacks. I'm not sure how documentation of APIs and attacks on APIs fits. Maybe that's just another part of the report that we didn't go through. So, oh no, this is new research from a different company talking about API security. Okay, well, I guess if you're testing an API and you don't know what's endpoints are, what data points, or what it processes or what have you, that could definitely be a vulnerability issue that you could look at. You can go ahead and look through this. There's a couple of those reports in there. Like I said, don't ever register for that shit. Smart ones will actually send the report to your email. That's rare. So just a thought there. Oh my goodness, I've got somebody who's ugly at me right now. Let me see. Close that. Close that. I do want to come back to this at some point, but I think I want to take a break from some of the hack the box stuff. Maybe go to something else. See what's available. DNS enumeration using Python. Oh, you know what? Is it edabit? Edabit.com. Coding exercises. That might actually be helpful. Yeah. that might be helpful. They again going to tout the idea of this Java, PHP, Python, Ruby, C Sharp, filthy Java, JavaScript. Maybe I would have been able to read that JavaScript if I'd have gone through the JavaScript stuff here. So might be something I could go and poke through. They do have tutorials. They have challenges that you can do practice. So it might be something to go look through, especially coding challenges. Let's see here. OSINT Corp. You know what? I have a really, yeah, I am. I have good friends and they're all doing the OSINT thing and they love it. Joe Gray had the show several times. I've taken his class on that stuff. Um, you know, he and I have talked at length about some of the, I'm going to get on a rant here. Let me make sure that actually worked. Yay. It adjusted my screen again. I don't like that. I don't like that at all. Some of you may have watched our interview with Jay Gorlick and Amanda last Sunday. That will be coming out in an audio podcast. You can also watch it on VOD if you're a subscriber. Thank you again to all of our subscribers. Let me double check, make sure. Yeah, okay. One of the things, just to pull the curtain back, the previous weekend there had been an event in Cleveland, B-Sides Cleveland. B-Sides, of course, is a global organization that started in Las Vegas as it was one of the first, it was a novel idea. It was like, there was Black Hat and DEF CON. It was like for those that didn't want to go and deal with 40,000 people inside of Caesars or the Bellagio or wherever the hell it was that year. They offered a B-Sides, which was another conference that was a little smaller and a bit more like rebel, if you will. A lot of the talks were new. They were, if you didn't get accepted at B-Sides or DEF CON, you could go to B-Sides Las Vegas and get that done. And they realized they had something there. I know several of the organizers. One of them is actually, I believe Wendy is on our board. I know she's on our board, but I believe she is one of the organizers of one of the hacking villages at B-Sides Las Vegas. So they started the global organization of B-Sides, allowing the idea was, smaller communities, smaller conferences could, under the aegis of B-Sides, create a conference. B-Sides Seattle is one that I've been to several times, and it's excellent conference. And it created a hometown kind of vibe. It was like, you're starting up a conference. It's going to be a small niche kind of thing, showcasing the idea was showcasing local talent. So, B-Sides Denver, would have speakers from the Denver area. Some of the larger conferences, of course, did have people who flew in. Ideally, I wanted, I tell Mr. Betcher this because we were thinking about it back in 2015, 2016, we were going to do an online conference called B-Side Cyber. And I'd reached out to some of the organizers and they said, hey, yeah, you're not the first person to think about this, but right now it's currently not possible. And then of course the pandemic happened and show everybody it was possible, which was great. But anyway, I digress. So B-Sides Cleveland is one of those, or was one of those B-Sides that happened. Anyway, so to lead into the OSINT stuff, we have people in our community who don't understand boundaries. And the person that I'm talking about was on our podcast at one time back in 2018. You will not find those audio podcasts any further. The RSS links still exist on there, but if you try to download them, they're gone. I have physically deleted them from our Libsyn. You cannot access them, and unfortunately, RSS feeds tend to not want to update properly. So We had him on. He had a book. We were enamored with him because he's doing a lot of good in the community. He was working for trying to. Oh yeah, no problem, Super Lolly. Thank you. Glad you could be here. Yeah, don't driving soon. Just be safe. And yeah, thanks for coming and hanging out. So we had him on the show, and he was talking about how he was helping find people who were distributing CSAM or um, uh, um, basically child pornography. And he was outing those people and finding them and reporting them to the police, and everybody was like happy that he was doing so. Um, I believe he's still doing that. I don't know if that organization still exists and it's in what it exists to be, but he has been uh, lifetime banned from DEF CON because there were numerous reports to the organizers. And of course, DEF CON is not going to share the names of those victims, but he was given a lifetime ban from DEF CON, and I heard later Black Hat. But last weekend at B-Sides Cleveland, the organizers thought it was a good idea for this person to come and speak at the conference. And I woke up Saturday morning because I'm 2 hours behind Cleveland to see people on Twitter going, "What the fuck? Why is he here?" And several talks were canceled because the people speaking that day decided, yeah, we're not going to do this. Miss Berlin, of course, was one. She was the first person. John Strand was another. There were several people that were unhappy that that person was there at all, including the people who spoke the previous day, who would have said, it would have been like, well, if I knew he was going to be here, I would have pulled my talk too. And, but B-Sides had to get involved, the global org, and it cost the B-Sides Cleveland folks their positions in the B-Sides organization. The organizer, the head organizer, very publicly tendered his resignation, as he should have, citing a lapse of judgment. There were some that could show that they had known for months in advance. They had planned this person to be there for months in advance, and then some allegations started, so they uninvited him, or he uninvited himself. And then they decided that he'd had enough time out and allowed him to come and speak. I don't know why. Obviously, didn't go over well. I'm kind of out on OSINT. That's the big thing. And it's like we have people in our community who do really great things, and then they do other things that aren't so good. And it's kind of, I don't want to say kind of shaken me, but we shouldn't have heroes in the InfoSec community. We should, I mean, there's people you can respect, but it almost feels like I need to hold people at arm's length, because it's like, are you going to be a shitbag? When does the other shoe drop and you become a shitbag? There's, and you can be friendly with people, but there are no rock stars. There's no thought leaders. So digital, the explanation I saw was that it was an oversight on their part on the scheduling. Now, I cannot confirm any of that. There were other reports on Twitter that one person had said, yes, his name was definitely on the list as of the Friday before the conference started. Why they removed it and then put it back on after the fact, I do not know. The surprise speaker thing was kind of weird. It almost sounded like when they announced that they were going to be doing something Saturday morning, that it was going to be like a pick a topic out of a hat and you speak on it kind of thing. Yeah, exactly. Like if they were okay with him there, why not announce it? Yeah, Yeah, it's really weird because when they made the comment about it, they were like, "Oh, he felt like he had spent enough time not speaking and he should be paroled or whatever, or he should be allowed to speak because he's had enough time in the doghouse." And people were like, "You as the bad guy don't get to tell us how long it's been, oh yeah, we should all, now move on and do stuff." So there was definitely a lot of debate online. I actually we were going to talk about it Sunday night, but Miss Berlin did get more than a few DMs to the negative on that, and I was like, I don't want her facing any more harassment, potentially or not potentially on the chat or on the stream. Not that any of you watching right now would have done so, but we were wondering. I was watching the stream chat pretty intently to see if there was anybody who just wanted to come on and talk shit. So it was still a great discussion with J Dub or Wolf and Amanda on other things, including RSA and Kubernetes and stuff. So it's definitely worth the time to go listen to. But yeah, we just decided it was probably not a good time, and it was still fairly fresh. We wanted to wait also for what B-Sides Las Vegas was going to decide, which didn't happen, I think, until Monday. So um, but I just remember, uh, I don't know why InfoSec is this way, but I don't know if other industries have this issue. I would imagine some of the developer industry might have some of these same issues, but there are people with different ethics and rules of behavior than others. And he thought it was a good idea to do what he did at DEF CON and Black Hat, and it got him banned. And other folks are like, well, where's the proof? And it's like, it takes a lot to get banned from DEF CON and Black Hat. I mean, there are folks like Morgan Marquis-Bois, which you can go look him up, Jacob Applebaum, Captain Crunch. Those are the three folks that I can think of right off the bat that have been banned for life. It takes a lot to get banned from something like a Black Hat or DEF CON. Those things are not done. It's not like they just get up one morning and go, yeah, let's ban somebody. Fuck it. You know, there, it has to be fairly credible. So, um, I'm more than willing to tie my anchor to whatever DEF CON decided is probably legit. You know, um, it's not like they just woke up that morning and said, "Yeah, he's out." That kind of thing. And their reputation is on the line as well. It's like if they allow that kind of stuff, you know. So, um, and as a conference organizer, that bugs the fuck out of me, right? Who thought it was a good idea? Hopefully he was invited to submit his CFP. He wasn't just invited to speak. If he was invited to speak, that's a different bag of wax. But if he went through the CFP process, there had to be people who were like, I hope, hey, maybe we shouldn't have this person join us, or something like that. So as a conference organizer myself, infosecampout.com, um, we have looked at what's been going on, and we have a board veto now, where um, if we find somebody who has a checkered background or reputation, and have submitted to our CFP, we will have a board vote of the InfoSec Education Foundation, who runs this umbrella organization for the conference and the stream here and what have you. We will veto the fuck out of that guy. And to be honest, I would be the first person, and really the only person that would matter at that point. If I said I didn't want that person to come and speak, it would be on me as the president of the IEF. If there was even an inkling of a reputation issue there, it's like, just don't dip your toe in that particular shark filled water. So, but yeah, it would be a simple vote, majority vote. Miss Berlin, Mr. Betcher, myself, Wendy, Matt, Chris, our director of marketing, all have voting rights on those things. And yeah, it's really hard to put out a conference, and conferences get reputations as either really good or really bad after so many years, right? And what we want is we want our conference to be good for a long time. We're very unique. Backyard camping experience. We're not a tour camp, but what we're touting is, good fun time, some networking, some s'mores, and oh yeah, a couple of talks. So we're not trying to sell ourselves as anything but anyway, so that was my rant. I do apologize if this is all new to you folks. You can go check out. I think you can just do B-sides CLE on Twitter. Look up that hashtag and read through some of that. I woke up like Saturday morning and saw Miss Berlin's tweet. She had a picture of the person's talk on there, and it wasn't even a technical talk. It was pretty much, I believe the title was, "Why do you need a court of law when you have social media?" And when I saw his name, I was like, oh, okay, so this isn't really about security. This is just going to be pretty ranty, I would imagine. So, but yeah, you can go check that out on Twitter if you'd like. There's probably still people talking about it to this day. But I think what B-Sides Las Vegas did was good. They've accepted the resignation of pretty much everybody in B-Sides Cleveland's management. They're hoping to find people to take over the mantle of B-Sides Cleveland next year. So if you're in the Cleveland area, hey, you want to run a conference, and of course, I think they're spreading that out to the rest of the B-Sides folks. And I would hope that anybody else doing a B-Sides right now who may have thought about inviting that person is thinking twice. So, all right. Well, I'm going to go, having said that, because I really wanted to talk about this on last Sunday, but I think the feelings were still a little raw, and it's given me a little time to start thinking about things. But it hit me deep because I'm a conference organizer, and all I could think about was who in the hell runs a conference and invites somebody like that? Who in their right mind does that? Friend or no? I mean, I would have cut ties with that guy anyway. And that's what we did. We after the whole B-Sides Cleveland thing, I hadn't really thought about it for DEF CON. Then I realized, oh, we had him on the show. And I've deleted the YouTube videos. I've deleted him off of the SoundCloud. I deleted the MP3s off of Libsyn. I've deleted the audio from our Google Drive. It's like he didn't exist, and I don't want him on our stream. So, yeah. So if anybody has any questions, DM me. Feel free. infoseccampout.com. We're still looking for speakers. We're still looking for people to buy tickets. I think we're about 50% sold out right now, or 50% sold. We're going to have some stuff. If you have ideas for events and you want to come up to the Pacific Northwest, 26, 28 August, we'd love to have you. If you're in the Pacific Northwest, it's a simple drive. We're about 40 minutes from Seattle. So come and join us. I'm going to try to be on Sunday evening to do some stuff. Otherwise, hope everyone has a good weekend. And take care of yourselves. Because, as we like to say here, you're the only you have. All right. Later, y'all. Bye.